WGEM News is following breaking news.
And on this first day of January 2018, we begin the new year with breaking news on the local front. One person is dead, 4 others taken to the hospital following an overnight fire in downtown Quincy at the Elkton Hotel. As we take a look at footage shot from the scene earlier this morning, where officials not giving out the names of those injured or the person killed at this point. According to Fire Chief Joe Henning, the call came in just after 1:30 this morning. Other residents in the building were evacuated outside into the freezing cold temperatures. They were cared for on scene by the Red Cross. We've got a live look for you this morning outside of the Elkton Hotel, where up until just moments ago, the Quincy Police Department crime scene unit was on scene. That truck is no longer there. Here's what we do know. We do not know a cause of the fire. At least one has not been released at this point, but there is significant damage, starting with the area and room where the fire originated. There is also smoke damage and water damage throughout the building and to several floors. Chief Joe Henning said that extreme cold weather also played a part in this, complicating efforts by firefighters to battle the blaze.
It's been a big problem. We've got 2 trucks froze up right now. We're in the process trying to get them back to the station so they can thaw out. It's just bitterly cold out here, and it makes it very difficult to do firefighting operations.
Fire officials again say that an investigation is underway at this point. A cause has not been determined. Police and fire were on scene this morning when our crews arrived at about 3:30 a.m. We are going to continue to follow that story. In the meantime,
one that we brought you on WGEM News today, the Adams County coroner has now identified the victim in a deadly fire at Hotel Elkton in Quincy overnight as 50-year-old Laura Tournier. That fire broke out in a 4th-floor apartment just after 1:30 this morning. 4 residents were sent to the hospital. Dozens more are now homeless because of the fire. WGEM's David Beidel is here now with the details. A follow-up for us. David.
Gene, firefighters say they had to rescue residents who were stuck inside the building after the fire broke out, even using the ladder truck to do so. Those residents are safe, but now the 50 people who live at the Hotel Elkton have to find somewhere else to stay. A rough start to the new year for Hotel Elkton residents. Many woke to smoke alarms and firefighters going door to door after a fire broke out early this morning.
Told them that we had to evacuate the apartment, and we were like, well, what's going on? And they're like, well, the apartment has smoke damage and you guys have to leave.
Fire officials say the fire started just after 1:30 this morning on the 4th floor. Police say 50-year-old Laura Tournier died in the fire and 4 others were taken to the hospital. Building owner Mark Nicewinder says 2 people lived in the apartment that caught fire.
Fire was contained in one room, smoke throughout the 4th floor. I know pretty significant fire damage in the fire room and smoke damage throughout. There's going to be quite a bit of water damage too on multiple floors.
Residents stayed inside the patio restaurant on the ground floor of the building until the Salvation Army took residents to the Quincy Senior Center. The Red Cross then set up a temporary shelter for over 20 residents that were displaced.
We're able to provide them with a warm environment and with hot meals. And we will keep in touch with emergency management, and the shelter will be open as long as it's necessary.
Without access to their rooms, residents like Tiara Gibson scrambled to find the necessities.
I'm gonna ask some family members and friends to help me and stuff. Like, I'm gonna need clothes, I'm gonna need toothpaste and toothbrush and stuff like that.
Now, for many, the shock of losing a friend is setting in.
It makes me really sad because it's the new year and this is how we're gonna bring it in. I hope it has better in store for us than this.
Now, the Red Cross says they will have the shelter up and running until residents are allowed back into the building, and building owner Mark Nicewinder says they are working on cleaning up after the fire and fixing alarms, but most residents should be able to move back in tomorrow. He did add that the patio restaurant is planning to open tomorrow as scheduled. David Beidel, WGEM News.
David, thanks for the update. First, firefighters say that battling that fire was a real challenge. They say extra crews were called in to assist the Elkton fire because of cold temperatures. Assistant Chief James Pyock says the cold is hard for both firefighters and equipment. He said that 2 trucks were sent back to the station to thaw, and a city salt truck came in during the fire to keep ice off the roads. He adds that in these temperatures, hoses can freeze in a matter of minutes.
And once you're using that water, as long as you're keeping the water flowing, you're going to have liquid water. But once you shut that off, you could have ice, which is why at a fire, when we do finish fighting the fire, we'll leave the nozzle cracked, hanging out a window, just to keep the water flowing, keep it from freezing up.
The fire department went to a third alarm to bring in backup crews to help with rescue operations and assist in managing extra equipment because of the cold weather.
And the cleanup continues tonight after the fire that displaced 50 residents.
Today, though, residents moving back in after they waited for the building to be ready. And WGEM's David Beidel talked with some of them, and he's back with more on their reaction. David.
Gene, residents are settling back into their rooms tonight after being allowed back into the building late this afternoon. After an unexpected start to the new year, residents are ready for a sense of something normal. Crews worked inside the Hotel Elkton today, repairing the alarm system while residents grabbed things they need.
I grabbed a few sets of clothes so that I have work clothes.
Resident Greg Gish says the 2014 fire that burnt most of the building started in his room. He says this fire was much smaller, but evacuating the whole building is never easy.
The last one was much worse than this. This one wasn't even to the same scale. But anytime that you have to move someone out of their apartment, it disrupts their life. They have to go to work, or they need their medications, or they're not sure where they're going to sleep or do anything like that.
Firefighters say the fire started on the 4th floor here behind this store, but the building owner says the rest of the floors are in good shape.
We've got about 5 or 6 rooms that had some water damage, so those rooms are impacted somewhat. But most of the rooms on the north and west side weren't impacted at all, so we should be in pretty good shape.
Building owner Mark Nicewinder says 51 residents live in the building and most of them have started to move back in. While the damage is repairable, getting back to normal may be more difficult for everyone involved.
Just devastating. The fire itself is that's all rebuildable, but to lose a life, that's beyond comprehension.
I hope that everything gets back up to normal. We have a very good group of people in the apartments here. They're kind of like a family.
Nicewinder says some rooms on the 4th floor in the same hallway where the fire started will take longer to clean. He says it's unclear how long it will take before those residents can move back in. David Beidel, WGEM News.
David, thank you so much.